Hi, everyone. I'm Carol Wilcock, and I'm with Dynamic Health Technologies. And a client the other day asked me, "Are you guys just really good conversationalists and you're playing solitaire back there on the other side of this screen?" So I thought it was time for me to share with you and give a brief video explanation so that you can see what we see when we do quantum biofeedback. So I'm going to share my screen. The device that I'm working with today is called a QXED. It is manufactured in Budapest, Hungary. We do have a new manufacturer coming to the US in Michigan, which is pretty exciting. We're glad to have that. So initially, we look at demographics and just put in some basic information. In this scenario, I created a fictitious test client, and the software allows us to do that. So we're not disclosing anybody's private information here. Would never do that. So different organs that might be removed, stress, what's your diet like, toxic exposures, past traumas, different components that can influence how well you recover and how much we need to work through. So from here, we go to calibration. Now I've already run the calibration. It's at 90%. A lot of times I will work until all the geopathic stresses are cleared. We can adjust this and I'll get it up to 95, 98%. Didn't take time to do it because I'm doing a demo for you. Okay, so this is the test matrix after I ran the scan. And this is just basically a list of reactions. It's thousands and thousands of line items long. I think we're close to 15,000 now. And so we can go through and see different types of reactions. This tiny little cursor, right, looks at things on the more chronic side. This is more old, and this is more new or urgent. Now, that's a huge amount of information to go through. So, what we like to do is go through and look at the highest risks. So, it's a category. So, it might be blood, or it might be a specific pathogen like amoeba, or it might be pH balancing, or bone, or it could be an emotion, right? Anything along those lines. Could be respiratory system. Where is your greatest stress? So it takes those huge numbers of reactions and sorts it into about 40 different risks. From here, we can look at different organs. It knows that I don't have anybody attached right now. Different organs. So liver, small intestine, gallbladder, crown and throat chakras, if you're familiar with chakras. And then what's on the chronic side, what's down here. So if we wanted to see what's going on in liver as a stressed organ, we can open up a toxin panel, type in liver, and see what are the reactions. Now, hear me out really clearly. There is no amount of energetic testing that I could possibly do that would be a true diagnostic. It's not diagnostic. It looks like it. It was designed by a physician for physicians so they would know what to look for. You still have to look for it. So if you need antibiotics, please go see your physician, your primary care physician, and get on the right medication for you. Get the proper medical diagnostics. Get your MRI, get your CT scan. Do that, okay? That's not what this is for. This is saying more, what are your risks? What are the exposures that have stressed your body, maybe recently, but more likely over your lifetime, over a long period of time? So the highest toxin for this person on the far left is industrial pollutants. So it should be between 50 and 100, and it's 148. So have you been in construction sites? Have you, they'd be like, oh, I just repainted my bathroom, or we redid the carpeting in our rental property, or we whatever, right? We just remodeled, we just finished, or I was helping a friend. So we'll see that this is something that's a stress for them. It could be a long time ago and their body just never cleared it. Radiation, heavy metals, insecticides, food additives, these are different areas of stress that can really cause problems for your body. Even pharmaceuticals, it doesn't tell us what medications you're on, and these can also be supplements that are synthetic based. So I'm not going to tell you to go off your meds. Nobody here and nobody using the device should say that. So it's all about educating you about where those stresses are. And sometimes I'll say, have you had a recent medication change? And they'll be like, oh, they switched it from the trade name to the generic, and I'm reacting to it. And it doesn't surprise me at all that that shows up as a stress. So those are different types of toxin scenarios. Then there's additional factors. So sometimes emotions get locked up in here. Caffeine, tobacco, injuries, weather, leaky gut, chronic constipation. These can all be additional factors with whatever organ we're looking at. And then we have different biological toxins. So different types of infection, like a protozoa in Montana, that would be like Giardia or Badiaga, or in other places, malaria even. So we can see where is that normal range for you, should be 50 to 100. So there's a lot of places where the immune system is not managing, not keeping up, or is stressed when it comes to different types of biological toxins. So those are some really great physiological based, well, they're more body based. But what happens when emotions are a big part of the story? So one of the things that I really like about this system is that we have the ability to work with a lot of different programs. Each of these programs opens more programs. They all add to. Let me see here. I'm going to do just one quick. So this shows up twice on the same place. So fluid around the heart. And if I'm going to do an individual reaction, we can look and see if this is something that would be really, that's a lot of stress, in which case I might refer somebody to their cardiologist or to pay attention to their regular physician to see if that's really, if it's a lot of fluid, if it's not much fluid, right? I have no way of knowing, absolutely no way of knowing how much fluid is in play. Okay, so while that is up, I need to activate a program here that I want to be able to share with you. Come on. There we go. Okay, so different programs have different options. So we can just simply type in, we might type in chest pain. It's like I've already been to ER twice. I have this pressure, but they say my heart is fine, right? It could be your lungs. It could be pressures. It could be an artery. It could be a pinched nerve. It could be a lot of different things. It could be a slipped rib. So there's a lot of different components. This allows us to look in what organs, what risks, what emotions are playing into that. Okay. And then we have auto search on huge numbers of our programs. So most of the time we are auto searching and we're just asking every program, what can I do for you today? What can this program do for you? And sometimes it'll be like nothing. It'll it won't produce anything at all and it'll be like move to another concern. It's not necessary. Okay, in this situation, I want to be able to also show you how emotions can come into play. So when we look at different types of emotions, so we can see how they are in relationship to each other. This is great when we're working with animals, when we're working with children. We just see that they're crabby or they're happy or it's a family member or a friend, whatever the situation is. It's like we see this tension and feel it, but we don't always know what it is. And this puts language to that, which is great. So we can ask, what is it that you need to change? What is it you're feeling apathy about, or is something apathetic towards you and you'd really like it to pay attention? So for us, it's just a name and a number, but most of the time, you know exactly where these emotions come into play. Now, we can also just let a scan run. This is an emotional female scan, and I'm going to pull it up actually on another program. Hopefully the video comes through. There we go. So this is looking at where in the body is an emotion tied, stuck, locked in. So pride, face, but pride also shoulder. Maybe too many shoulds if you follow Louise Hay. So it'll keep searching through different parts of the body with different emotions. So this is staying on one emotion. So far, we're on our third part of the body. Well, now we have the same face, but now it's shame. So this will run for as long as we want it to. We can literally, you could just leave this program running the whole time and have a really pretty decent session. So I'm going to stop it here. There we go. And I'm going to stop it here. I just wanted to be able to show you how we can work with all different types of emotions and a much more holistic version of who we are and why we get so stressed. One of my favorite things is to do a trauma scan. No, it will only pull up what you're not ready to let go of, and it will only pull up what you're ready to go let go of today. And it will also not pull up things that you've dealt with in the past. If it's in the past and you've managed it, we don't have to have talk therapy about this forever. It's done. We can just let it go. So it's only going to bring up what needs to clear and what is ready to clear today. So starting with gestation week 11 was the first place. And it's really an interesting process because it can pick up emotional conflict with friends, sometimes mother, father, inner self, a karmic backlash. There's all different kinds of emotional conflicts with, and then sometimes it'll just say in consideration. Like it's that age where you just realize, or a situation, you just realize that the world can be very rude and inconsiderate of you personally. And then where is the physical trauma being stored? So hormone memory, cell memory, skin, nerve, muscle, these are all places where these can get stuck. And this is a really great place to release those traumas and move on. I can tell you 100 different stories about this panel. Um, One was a gal who had itchy skin to the point where she scratched it in her sleep at night and she woke up with bloody sheets every day. And her conflict was with mother. And all the traumas started at age 3 and continued for a long time after that. There was a lot of different traumas, but they were all just related to mother. Well, she was the oldest of 10 kids, and she had never not been a mother since she was 3. And it was really a huge stress for her. So we worked on this, we released it. It was all in skin and skin feeling, that skin memory and cell memory. And we detoxed and we were able to help her really, really enjoy and recover beautifully. She had been through a lot of different creams and medications and anti-inflammatories, and nothing worked. And in one session, this worked. Now, it doesn't always work in one session, but um, in fact, I'm going to go over why we do multiple sessions. So here you can see spinal, here's C3, L5, the occiput. A lot of times we'll refer you to a physician, a chiropractor, a physical therapist, somebody who can help you with these alignment issues. Now, one of the places I wanted to go was nutrition because we have a lot of nutritional issues in our world, deficits in our natural foods, and excessive supplements can flip things on a dime and turn things all over the place. So we can look and see where there's a high reaction and a low reaction. So sometimes if somebody's taking too much B1, it'll bottom out their B2. And if they're taking too much zinc, it'll bottom out their copper. So this copper is 12, zinc's 154. They should both be 75. Okay? So we can kind of get a tendency, right? It's not the same as a blood lab value, but we can see tendencies on where there's imbalances there. So one of my favorites is this internal enzymes because these are cellular enzymes. How do the cells exchange with the capillary pool that is around them? There's not a blood supply for every single cell in your body. There's these capillaries then release blood that surround the cells like a puddle, and they have to absorb, and that happens through enzymes and cell salts. And so this is the only place in the whole world I know where you can create balance and to retrain the body to have balance in these enzymes so that they use water correctly, so that they breathe correctly, so that the cells digest correctly. All right. Now you can tell that I could go on and on and on about different types of hormones and different kinds of stress and all different kinds of programs and craniosacral and allergies and dental and so many. I could go on and on and on. But I wanted to give you an idea of some of the screens that are really, really important for us and why it might take 10 sessions. So a lot of times people's, and if it only takes two, then hallelujah. I mean, that's just awesome. And we love it when that happens because you can share your sessions, you can, with your friends, your family, you bought our time. That's great. But most of the time, it takes 5 to 10 sessions. And I usually tell people if you've been sick for 20 years, using any form of natural medicine, it'll probably take 20 months to get better. But after being sick for 20 years, do you really want to continue on that path? Or we might be really good friends, and 20 months later, you would be able to, we've retrained everything, right? Your body's responding new and different, and we can look at what nutritional changes you might need to make. Diane's an integrative nutritionist, and we're not prescribing a diet for you. We're just saying these are reactions that aren't fitting for you. They're not in your normal range. So we want to re-educate. But we know that within that 5 to 10 sessions is usually when people see a shift. They feel a shift. Now we've broken it down into kind of a protocol or a system where we work on different things during the sessions. We might work on communication, like your spine and meridians and chakras. So it might be that your chakras, which you'll pull up here in just a sec, it might be that your chakras are a little imbalanced. You see this? Yeah, there should be nice, even energy flows in these circles. So it might be that your acupuncture meridians are off. We have a program for all of these things. We might need to work on channels of elimination and drainage and hydration. And then another session, work on trauma. And then another session, work on that toxin panel that I showed you. And another one, we might really have to work on emotions that get stuck or reasons why. you might still have the same pattern over and over again. And then, of course, nutrition is huge. But also, we can work on cellular repair, even working on things like the mitochondria within the cell and working on those salts and the enzymes that I showed you just a second ago. And then also working on restoring good energy, restoring, stimulating, re educating your metabolism, the way you use oxygen, your hormones. And then also, what does the terrain look like? Why are you so susceptible? Have you ever thought about that? Why are you susceptible to things over and over and over again? This is human nature to repeat. And so looking at the terrain and then the DNA, looking at what are these patterns that need to be reset. Well, it's really hard to do all of that in one session. It's really, really hard. So that's why we do a package of 10. You don't have to do it. It's totally fine. Now, from here, we can see now we have some stressed systems, some stressed organs, and in at Dynamic Health, we use that information to take you to another technology. So with that, I'm going to pause this recording and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you a little bit of insight into all the different things that we are looking at and the way that we are working with you to balance and to be restored and to be back to that energetic homeostasis because E equals MC squared. And when energy is balanced, eventually the tissue follows suit. And so that's how this works. I hope you enjoyed this short little video and it answered a couple questions for you. And now you will know that we're not playing solitaire on the other side of our screen. And I hope you have a great day. We'll see you soon.